Hello and welcome to another Sunday and Flutter Sunday show. Majid is here and I'm going to give you an overview of what has happened in the last 7 days to Flutter, Flutter Engine, Dart, and everything around Flutter in the community. All right, let's get it started. As always, we're going to start with Flutter Engine. So, Flutter Engine had so many PRs again. So I could navigate to page 8 actually this week. Was pretty active in Flutter Engine repo. So there were a lot of PR again regarding uh, fuchsia and some many bug fixes and a lot of automatic PRs and which comes from probably CDCI. And but among all of those PRs, I found several PRs very interesting and probably something that you really want to pay attention to. First one was disposing of embedded views in CanvasKit after resize. This is going to fix several, at least an issue that yes, last week we also talked about, and that was iframe is choppy when resizing windows horizontally. So another PR was, yeah, last week we also talked about the behavior or some bad behavior on voiceover in iOS, and I've seen that there is another PR again merged to the master related to this problem, which is related to accessibility for iOS. That's going to fix scrollable with label is not focusable issue on iOS. So that's a good thing, which is landed on master. Hopefully soon we'll see it in other channels too. One PR that I found interesting is related to Fuchsia and using FFI to get system clock monotonic. So this is particularly interesting for me because it was using FFI, so at least we could see some kind of like in action practice of FFI. So if you are really interested on how to use FFI in a real world, and you may come to this PR and look at the examples. So this is absolutely a fantastic resource for learning how you can do these type of things. One interesting thing is that last week I've shown you a tweet from some community members that you can actually change CanvasKit on runtime. And here is the PR for that. So it's an ability to change the CanvasKit URL at runtime. And that's going to address some kind of issues which is related to CanvasKit and binary. So this is targeting Flutter Web, which is good, and take a look at that. It's probably something that you will be interested in, at least how it has implemented. And back to the Flutter framework. So in the Flutter framework repo, again, lots of PRs, many of them like automated PRs, which is fine. Up to 5 page I could navigate simply. And among those, apart from all internal PRs, fixing bugs and improving, internal system of Flutter framework, including tools, Flutter tools, and things like that, there were a couple of PRs that caught my eye. And one of them was adding textDirection property to CupertinoTextField and CupertinoTextFormField, FormFieldRow. So this is very interesting. This is also very nice. It's which you can actually see that CupertinoTextField didn't have text direction, and now it has, and that's very nice for especially those who need direction for their text field. So For example, if they want to have like a right to left or left to right and stuff like that. Another one was text selection toolbar position after keyboard opens, and that's related to an issue where the text will does not update toolbar position when a keyboard expands or opens, right? So this is also fixed and landed on master right now. So if you have this issue, a good news for you that you may go and check out master and see if this issue has fixed for you and give some feedback probably to Flutter team. All right, so a new widget has landed to master, and that's the animated slide widget. So this widget is similar to other animated widgets. It's going to animate something, and according to the documentation or the implementation of this widget, we've seen that this is going to automatically make a transition the child's offset relative to its normal position whenever the given offset change. For example, there is an example right now, so you can actually animate Flutter logo. So, like by translating to up and down with some amount based on the height. So this is something that probably you want to look at that. So this is an interesting and another handy widget for animation. And one more PR related to AppBarTheme, shape property was added. So now if you needed actually a shape property to AppBarTheme, so a good news for you is that the shape property is added, and that is going to be shape border class. So similar to other shapes, so you can definitely go ahead and use this property in um, master right now. This is very good news for those who needed this shape property in AppBarTheme. All right, so another depreciation has landed on master, and it's something that you probably need to take into account and test it on top of that. And that's a couple of them. For example, the backwards compatibility are now depreciated, and they actually default goes to false by default. You also we'll see in app bar the brightness is depreciated due to reason that you need to use system overlay style instead. And also text theme is also depreciated because you need to use toolbar text style and title text style instead for app bar. And as I said, the backwards compatibility property is also default by default, and it's obsolete. All right, so these are the things that is landed on master, and probably you need to take into account. But what has happened in the community? Let's look at some news. First of all, It's All Widget announced that a new Flutter podcast, It's All Widget, hosted by Hillel. So it's out, and this episode actually is very interesting. I encourage you to go and check it out and listen to this. So there is a very special guest, and they're talking about a lot of cool stuff regarding Dart and Flutter. So, and that's one thing. Another thing is that here is the link for these podcasts. I will put the links in the comments or the show notes everywhere that you are listening or watching this show. All right, another one, which was very interesting, and I also encourage you to go read and maybe send some comments, was an open discussion from Flutter team coming from Mariam Hasnani, which is Flutter web product owner. And she mentioned that they opened a Reddit discussion to ask about your experience regarding Flutter web. So this was fantastic. So, because there were a lot of comments and open discussion between Flutter team and also community members, and probably a lot of points have been taken, and hopefully they will be applied some points probably to Flutter and Flutter Web. If you don't have yet, if you didn't have actually time to check this Reddit discussion, so I encourage you to go and read and maybe send some comments. And one thing is that Flutter in beta channel was released. I announced it last week, but again, it was nice to mention once more that new version 2.3 is ready for testing. Checking at Reddit, the top discussions and posts, I found one, the toppest one, which was sharing some experience about your being a if you are a freelancer, and there was a lot of nice text from the author who is asking about some experience and some comments here so that you can read and learn from the experience of these freelancers if you are a freelancer or you are considering to become one. And one more thing from me, I was asking a question last week regarding some update for Flutter packages and plugins, and particularly I was interested in the usage of Flutter versions. And I got an update from Tim Sneeze, so which is the manager of the Flutter. So he sent me or he posted a tweet which was to answer to my tweet regarding the versions, and this is very interesting to see that most of the people who have opted in to the analytics for their project, it seems that they are using Flutter 2.2, and this is very, very interesting to see that many people have already tried to upgrade their packages, their projects. And we need to celebrate as a Flutter developer, perhaps, because team has sent sent tweet which was showing the usage of Flutter and other cross-platform mobile framework. A survey run by JetBrains to 2021 states of developers ecosystem. And that is interesting because Flutter has crossed all the other frameworks or cross platform mobile frameworks. And now by nearly around 42%, or maybe above that. So it's the winner or like the toughest choice for everyone to use this framework for building cross platform application. Congrats to all of the developers, Flutter developers, and Flutter team. If you have any update or news that you want me to talk about it in this show, please send me an email, comment in the section below, send me a tweet, DM me, or any way that you can find me on internet. I will be happy to share your news and updates with everyone in Flutter community. With that said, see you next week. Stay safe, never give up.